Do you know that more than 10 million Cameroonians are illegal in Cameroon? I'm talking about Cameroonians living in Cameroon. More than 10 millions of them are illegal in Cameroon. Why? Because they do not have birth certificate nor national identity card. And today on TFA Talking Point, we are going to explain and talk about this particular issue because it is something that many of our brothers are perishing in prison because of this particular issue. Arrested because of they don't have any identification papers to show to prove whether they are Cameroonians. Presently, more than 10 million Cameroonians. As we are saying that the population of Cameroon is 30 million plus. In reality, documented, there are only about 20 million Cameroonians because more than 10 million are illegal, according to the government. The government considers them either foreigners who enter Cameroon illegally, either from Nigeria, Chad, Central African Republic, Gabon, Equatorial Guinea, or any other neighboring country. So this is how these people are being classified. So why is it that more than 10 million Cameroonians do not have birth certificate or national identity card? It is because of bad governance in Cameroon. This is just the main reason behind it, because there are a lot of issues going on in Cameroon. Birth certificate is something that everybody, immediately you put to birth, you have to have it. It should not be complicated. It should be very easy for anybody to have it without spending anything. And the national identity card. But with the corrupt government in Cameroon, they complicate everything. They have given a time frame for any parent to struggle by all possible means to produce a birth certificate immediately you put to birth a child. Meaning, if your wife put to birth today, you have 30 days to put everything together to create a birth certificate or to register a birth certificate for that child. And after that 30 days, you have to follow but through the court. And with the poverty in Cameroon, the hardship parents are going through, then when their wives maybe is in the hospital or put to birth, they will be moving from one place to another to gather money because there is no money. And the hospital bills now are very high. So they will be looking for money and searching for money to gather money to pay for this. Maybe they will borrow money to pay for the hospital bills. When the wife will return back home, they will be struggling and thinking of how to balance the money they borrow to pay the hospital bill. And in the course of this thing, the 30 days will pass. And immediately after the 30 days will pass, it will be very difficult for them to start following court a procedure in order to establish a birth certificate. And many people, due to the kind of corruption in Cameroon, many people don't even want to have anything to do with court. And this discourages many of them. They just sit behind. But many people are going into prison ignorantly and innocently because of this particular issue. The government has the will, the resources, and the power to establish in each village, a center where they will be establishing birth certificate and national identity card. But they refuse and decided that everything will be centralized. You come to each subdivision, maybe 4 villages in that subdivision. Then you establish only one in that subdivision. So people from one village have to travel to the headquarters of that subdivision to establish birth certificate within 30 days. Added to the insecurity, poverty, and illiteracy. How can it be done? So I am calling on the government of President Paul Biya to conduct a census. And then in the course of doing this thing, they should be establishing birth certificate to all Cameroonians, that people can identify that this is my child, this is my daughter, this is my son, this is my brother, to know that these are Cameroonians. Because many have been arrested because of this particular issue. If we do not do it, we will pay for it. So I am calling on you that if there is a possibility that you can contact all your relatives, in your discussion, you just ask them whether they have birth certificate, whether their children are having birth certificate. If they do not have, just struggle by all possible means. Ask them to write their names, and when they will write their names, or then you ask, you can contribute or you can raise money from your own pocket, pay the transport of one person to travel to the subdivision and establish birth certificate for all of the children, or a national identity card, or even write a letter to any office that are producing birth certificate, a national identity card that say these are people in my village without birth certificate, without national identity card, and many of them cannot travel to come to where you are in order to establish the birth certificate or the national identity card. Can you help it come to the village and establish, register them, give them receipt, and then return back when it will be out? Then somebody will come and collect. This is how we have to do it in order to save. Thousands of our brothers are perishing in prison because of this particular issue, arrested and mistaken as foreigners in Cameroon. So many, more than 10 million Cameroonians are illegal in their own country, Cameroon, because of poor leadership.